potatoes. And I was floored. Seriously. And I said, you mean those potatoes that were growing those things off of them that I freaked out and threw away, they were just trying to grow? I never even knew. Land! My last name's Landman. And I was disconnected to the land, the earth, and the sky. You know, I wasn't looking up at all. I still wasn't looking up. But I was on a farm. And I learned all about a lot of stuff. I learned about, wow. I mean, yeah, I could go on, but I'll get to my presentation. But yeah, Farmer Paul at Warren Creek Organic Farms, he showed me a lot. We grew sunflowers all throughout to bring in the pollinate, and also the sunflowers fix the soil, bring nitrogen in. I learned that all it takes to grow food is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK. So all these other minerals that we need, they're not even putting them in the soil. Well, organic farmers, they do, but it's an interesting world out there. And I learned about winter squash. Winter squash are amazing. There's so many varieties. You go into the grocery store and you think that there's 5 types of apples. There's thousands of types of apples, right? We've been indoctrinated. We don't know. We're disconnected, and purposefully so, right? So I grew a dozen varieties of winter squash, a dozen varieties. Believe it or not, there's a lot more varieties of these crops. There's so much out there that we don't know about. But we live in this monocrop world, you know? So I was out on this farm, and it was 2012. And we were in the midst, California was in the midst of a catastrophic drought. And I'm finally getting connected to the land a little bit, and I'm learning that drought is bad for farming. It's pretty obvious, but you know. And this one day, Farmer Paul week, and I'm like, all right, I got rain boots. I cannot tell you what it was like to get connected to my roots and to literally get grounded and to learn about farming like my ancestors. It's in my DNA, you know? But we're becoming disconnected. It's all part of the process of our enslavement, I hate to say. So, I checked the weather, 100% chance of rain for the next week. And where I was in Northern California, the farm that I worked on, I could hear the waves crashing. We were right there on the coast. And where I lived, it was called the mouth of the atmospheric river, this jet stream that comes off the Pacific and comes across the continental United States. And traditionally meaning for the past few thousand years, this seasonal deluge would come through and dump moisture in the Pacific Northwest. The 2,000-year-old redwood trees, they were used to it. They got their seasonal rain from around October to March every year. You know, Seattle gets their rain season. You know the stories. You guys don't get it right here like this. You get this beautiful monsoon season, which is also being. So, where I lived, we get this. My house was on kind of stilts a little bit because of the moisture and the mold. And for the first time, I saw frogs and salamanders coming outside, and they're out there waiting for the storm. I can see the black clouds rolling in. And I said to myself, wow, frogs and salamanders live under my house. This is pretty cool. And here the storm comes rolling in. Big black storm clouds, you know. And I'm out there, and I'm in my rain boots, and I'm harvesting pumpkins because it's early October, and Farmer Paul's worried about the pumpkins rotting in the field. I've only got this little space of light, so I'm probably just going to stop pacing back and forth. So, I like pacing, sorry. So it's 100% chance of rain. I'm out there harvesting pumpkins. And I'm not stupid, you know, I'm tuned in a little bit, even though I didn't know potatoes grow potatoes. Clouds mean rain, especially when the barometric pressure is changing and the freaking amphibious creatures. You can feel it. You can feel it coming. So I'm harvesting these pumpkins, getting jacked, loving my life, and all of a sudden these planes come. And where I lived, there was not air traffic like that. I'd see a plane or two my whole day working. A plane or two. Not a dozen all at once. Not a dozen all at once. And they all came on the edge of the storm pattern, and they zigzagged across the sky, and they left these persistent, linear, cirrus cloud formations out of the back of the jet engines, or out of the back of the planes, whatever it looked like, to me. And I said, huh. And the storm came, didn't drop a drop, not a drop of rain came out of the clouds. And the black sky was there for a couple days, no rain, nothing. And the drought continued, the drought persisted. And I had that memory. But I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything at all. And I didn't even know to look it up. Or even look up. I was like, a bunch of planes flew over. Cool. And I just kept working. Fast forward like a month later, I'm on the phone with my buddy. And this is really important. This is an important portion of the story. Because this changed my life forever. We wouldn't even be here right now if my buddy didn't say this thing to me on the phone, back on the East Coast. He's talking to me about how asleep people are and the state of the world we live in. And he was like, yeah, people can deny something happened at 9/11, and they can deny this and they deny that. But how the heck are they denying chemtrails? They're right in their face. And he planted that seed. And that's how powerful we are. You don't realize it. You plant that seed. You know, I like to plant the seed of gee, there's no planes in the sky today on these beautiful blue days, you know? And that's really like gentle for people that aren't ready to wake up, or maybe they are. And then, what do you mean? Usually I see a bunch of planes zigzagging. There's nothing today. It's interesting. Plant that seed, right? Just plant the seed. And you know, just like a seed, eventually it gets water, sunlight, and it grows. And that's what the awakening is, right? Just planting the seeds, planting them, but in the right way, you know? Don't leave here and be like, spider webs falling from the sky high, you know, like lead a horse to water, lead a horse to water, right? And they're not spider webs, I'll take that. But lead a horse to water, and then when they're ready to drink, they will. So I said, what do you mean? And he was like, you don't know all this? Life forever. And I was like, yeah. Inside job. I saw that. But I didn't know to think anything. So I get on the computer. Oh, jeez. I got on the computer and my life started to change. For real. And I got told out 500 flyers or something. And like 3 people showed up. And I got up there, cursed a bunch. And I was like, guys gotta know about this. And people were like, whoa, what's this guy talking about? And nothing happened. I got no traction. My couple of my close friends were like, yeah, what are you gonna do? And how do you even know? And I was like, I know because look at this on the internet. There's these movies aren't that good. I hadn't seen Aerosol Crimes. But what I was exposed to was not enough. Wasn't enough. And so that seed was planted in my head, and I was like, well, I want to make a difference. Then 3 years went by, and I'm just like plugging away with my life, and I'm like here and there, hey, do you know about this? Do you know about this? Nobody knew. Nobody knew about it at all. And I got no traction, nothing. And then I ended up in Vancouver, Canada. I call it divine intervention, but there's some... That's what I thought I was going to do. It's Hollywood North and all this. I didn't know what was pulling me there. But my first day there, I got the traction that I needed. There was this guy on the street corner holding this big sign, WTC7 WTF. World Trade Center building number 7. So the third building fell that day. Free fall speed. And WTF. You know, whatever that means. And then, sorry, the kids are now. So then, I went up to them and I'm like, oh, what, you know, and they're like, oh, we come out here on it was March 11th. We come out here on the 11th of the month and do this awareness campaign. Geoengineering, aka stratospheric aerosol injections, aka solar radiation management. And I said, you are my friend now. And he was. And he was 52, and I was, whatever, 35 or something, 34. And he gave me, he said I could do it. Oh, that's all I needed. He did. He let me believe in myself. And so I hit the ground running, and I said, I'm going to make a movie better than any movie that's out there. And I started trying to get people together, and I started running around, interviews done, and I was like, dang, some of these activists, I think they're controlled by the government. And I was like, dang, that's sad. But then I came across Patrick Roddy. And Patrick Roddy came up. You can knit for chemtrails. And I was like, dang, you're right, buddy. And I got another interview under the belt, you know, and I was like, I'm gonna make this movie. And then finally I was like, maybe I should just host a conference. I can get everybody together at the same place at the same time, save me some time and energy, and then I can interview everybody. On that day I got 0 interviews, but I had the first conference. And it was a huge success. And Ilana was there, God bless her. And Patrick was there. No kidding. We need each other, and we need the truth to be heard, and we need to be heard. And what is up with all these activists that seem to be CIA? And people were like, they want to control the narrative, to control the outcome, to control the public, to keep the truth hidden. So I did stuff like this. I made this collage. This collage was like one of the biggest things I've ever done because I put this catchphrase with it. Does this look like a theory to you? Right? And I put YOU in all caps, and boom! It's like 20,000 shares on Facebook. I was like, damn. So then, I just started posting on Facebook all the time. And sorry if you all follow me, maybe you liked it, but I posted like a couple hundred things a day. Like I would just post. And I lost all my friends. You know, people from my childhood were like, Matt, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And then the majority of the people, the sky used to look like. And they saw the sky change right before their eyes. And they knew. So here we're on this normalization timeline. And through this presentation, I want to help guide you to learning about discernment. Okay? I want you to be able to look at something on the internet and be able to say, and I hate the word fake news, I want you to be able to say, that's BS, right? And I want you to be able to feel it in your gut, in your heart, and resonate with the truth, right? Because now, believe it or not, they're launching geoengineering, aka chemtrails, whatever word you want to use, they're launching it as a solution now to a problem that doesn't even exist. So they want to normalize it, and thankfully, Frankenskies, the movie, which I'm still working on it, you know, I'm a work in progress, and if I had enough dough, I would just like, you know. But either way, frankskiesthemovie.com, please share it with your friends. And then as I'm making this film, and I thought I was just going to be saying, hey, look up, please look up. There's something going on in the skies. I swear, there's chemtrails, they're real, you know. As I was finishing up this film, it came out that they wanted to launch it as a solution. It was becoming normalized, and it was getting a federal budget. And still the disinformation, misinformation campaign was at hand. So how is that possible that they want to say this is the solution, but while simultaneously telling you that it's not real still? So, to normalize it, to sidestep decades of treason and crimes against humanity, the powers that be, because heaven forbid I say they, people get all upset if I say they come out in 2010 saying we must stop global warming, we need something to stop this global warming. Well, if you know about ionospheric heaters and superheating the atmosphere and how many ionospheric heaters there are all over the world, you think twice about this whole global warming thing. They're superheating your atmosphere with Tesla technology, frequency tech, utilizing these metallic nanoparticulate aerosolized chemicals, poisoning the future of humanity, poisoning the plants and animals, and saying, and superheating them, and then saying, oh look, the planet might be heating up. We got to do something. I think we're going to block out your sun with chemicals. So first they come out and say, we can put mirrors in the sky. We're going to deflect the light back into space. We're going to block the sun with some mirrors. Then they say, oh wait, no, we're going to use diamonds. Mirrors won't work. They won't float properly. We're going to put diamond dust in the sky. Then they come out, this is all spoon feeding to the public this agenda to walk you through it, to feel like that you have made this decision on your own with what's good and what's right and what's wrong, and that they're helping us. Diamonds. But then they say, oh wait, no, diamonds are really expensive. We can't spray the sky with diamonds. But they've gotten the conversation going, and they planned it behind closed doors. Then they say sulfuric acid. We're going to put sulfuric acid in the atmosphere. We're going to mimic a volcano. Then they say, oh wait, that'll kill a lot of people, and it's really harmful, and acid rain, yada yada. Then they say table salt, and now with this experiment at Worldview Enterprises in Tucson, Arizona, they're just happen to be experimenting with various variations of nanoparticulate size particles of aluminum oxide. Well, the aluminum's been showing up in the soil. Rosalind Peterson, U.S. Department of Agriculture, rest in peace, she just passed away. God bless her. She spoke to the UN talking about the geoengineering programs. Okay? There's so much research on it, but the aluminum has been sprayed at especially high levels since the mid-90s. It's causing colony collapse disorder in the bees. It's causing dementia and Alzheimer's. It's disrupting plants' ability to uptake water. Trees cannot uptake water because of the aluminum. Okay? It's acting as an accelerant in forest fires. All right? It's ongoing. And this is going to be their solution. But they got to walk us through it first. So then they come out and they say geoengineering is a bad idea, but it's an option. Then they say chemtrails aren't real with this disinformation campaign. Obama signs off on it as he leaves, and then Trump signs off on it, gives federal funding. And then they even come out and say, oh, look, we got new clouds that have existed the whole time, but now we're going to give them all names, and they're all variations of geoengineering. And then they announce it officially. So they frame the debate, they control the conversation, and they control the outcome. So this, I could do a 2-hour presentation on just this slide, and this is my most blank slide. Okay? Chemtrails, geoengineering. All right, so here's what they did. First, they frame the terminology, and they create the word chemtrails, and they hire agents, okay? Controlled agents. I use the word CIA loosely. They're controlled. They're controlled in one way or another, okay? They're trying to create a mental construct in society. So when I go out and I pass out my flyers, I say the word chemtrails, and people laugh because they've been programmed by their programming, their television programming, okay? The word chemtrails has been hijacked. You can't use that word, heaven forbid. Chemical trails is what it stands for, okay, from planes. But geoengineering, and when I first found out about the word geoengineering, I thought I was so smart. I was like, oh man, I'm going to use that word, I'm going to research that word, I'm going to put it into my Google alerts, and every time the word geoengineering comes up on the internet, I'm going to be informed daily. And I'm so smart for that word because big deal. These two words were the controlled dialectic. We're debating, and then in the activist community, oh, which word should you use? Oh, is it this one or is it that one? Is it this one or is it that one, right? All the while, they're behind the scenes, they are behind the scenes with all these different terminologies. And I'll get to that. It's really fascinating, actually, how they did it. So first we have to talk about the consolidation of the media. Those of us that are old enough to remember, there were unbiased news sources. When I was in high school, I flipped through The Economist and these different publications, and they were unbiased. There was real news before, but they've all been gobbled up. They've been consolidated by big money, by the same families, and now So in 1983, we had 50 companies own 90% of the American media. It's been consolidated now to 6 companies. You better believe those 6 companies are owned by the same families. If you've ever seen these news clips, the same scripted news is handed to every local news broadcaster daily. So the same newscasters in hundreds of news stations are pretending to give you unbiased news, but they're just reading a script they were handed to build a mental construct to control the way that you think. Time magazine, 1977. And if you remember this, if you're old enough, there was an ice age looming. We were on the verge of being under a mile of ice. But they couldn't reverse engineer that problem. Okay? They had ionospheric heaters. They could superheat the atmosphere. They didn't know how to cool it down. So they couldn't fear-monger you into any decision-making with ice ages looming. But this was the truth. We were in a cooling phase. Okay? Then all of a sudden, global warming's here to get you. Sea levels are rising. Okay? You ever been to the beach? Sea levels are not rising. All right. This is really important because now the controlled media, they are forming these mental constructs and they're plucking these emotional heartstrings. This polar bear, this skinny polar bear went viral. Sorry, I'm yelling into the mic. It went viral. 1 billion people saw this skinny polar bear. Right? Time magazine, be very worried. Global warming's here, and those cute bears are dying because of your carbon dioxide. If you were here earlier, and you saw at the beginning of Frankenstein's dry ice, carbon dioxide is what the military-industrial complex uses to control the weather. They spray it in the atmosphere. They won't bother telling you that. Also, do you know what the ¡1 greenhouse gas is? Water vapor. Nobody tells you that. They tell you it's carbon. You know why? Because your car emits carbon. And so do you when you breathe. And they want to guilt you into taking away everything from you. But guess what? The polar bears are fine. But this skinny polar bear saw 1 billion people, and people are upset. The polar bears are fine. All right? There's more than ever. But Al Gore, who's trusting Al Gore? He's a politician. Okay? He's got money in carbon capture. Think about this. Think about this controlled problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic that they're getting us at. And now Congress is looking into geoengineering, because remember those skinny polar bears. It's your fault. There's a polar bear stuck on an ice cube, and we got to block out your sun. Okay? And meanwhile, Popular Mechanics, this is a pretty well-known publication, okay? But there's other publications I'm going to go through in this presentation, and I want you to look at the websites and just know, wow, how long has that website even existed? And is that complete BS? And I want you to be able to see through it because your friends and family are going to share on Facebook this disinformation, misinformation. And I'm not asking you to call them out, I'm asking you to know the truth. And eventually you'll feel it in your gut. So, problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. Hegel was a philosopher at the turn of the century. And he said, look, through this problem, reaction, solution, master-slave dialectic, we can control everything. And it's true. They know what the quote-unquote solution is, which in this case is blocking out our sun, and they create the problem by superheating the atmosphere and climate control and weather engineering and media control and all this. And the reaction is always fear. And once we're in a state of fear, they come and they're like, here, we got the solution for you. Don't be scared. We got you. So while they're controlling the conversation and controlling the outcome, and we're over here, geoengineering, chemtrails, which one is it? And people are hired on the street screaming chemtrails and controlling that narrative. And then other people are controlling the geoengineering narrative, which ultimately ended up being the solution to everything, mind you. You know, if I had a crystal ball, the way things have panned out, it's been shocking. But as things reveal themselves, we've got CARE, we've got SRM, SRMGI, SAI, TAP, and SPICE. CARE is the Charged Aerosol Release Experiment through NASA. In all of their documents, they talk about spraying the skies with aluminum, barium, strontium, making fake clouds, experimenting. They, quote, use the atmosphere as a laboratory. And in all their documents, they don't use the word chemtrails, contrails, or geoengineering. You better believe it, because they know what they're doing. SRM is solar radiation management. Okay? Managing our solar rays by blocking the sun with aerosolized chemicals, aluminum, barium, and strontium. They don't use the word geoengineering, chemtrails, or contrails. I wonder why. Solar Radiation Management Governance Initiative, a governance body put in place. Governance body for something that's a conspiracy theory? How does that make sense? SAI, stratospheric aerosol injections. The CIA director talks about this. Stratospheric aerosol injections. TAP. I could do a 2-hour presentation on TAP. And also, all these things are printed on the table in the back. I printed out some amazing documents. And the TAP program is up there. TAP program will blow your mind. In 2001, right before we were about to be distracted by 9/11, the Department of Energy came out with TAP, the Tropospheric Aerosol Program. Okay? The Department of Energy. So people always want to know who, what, why, where, when, how, before they can sink their teeth into it and really believe in something so crazy. Okay? And this is the who. The TAP program, the Tropospheric Aerosol Program. What they did is, through the Department of Energy, they launched this full-on program, and they have a 100-page document that they put out, and they gridded the skies over Nashville, Tennessee, with all these different chemicals, and they put up different research devices and helicopters and ground-based stations, and they put a budget out. And they said, yeah, we need to block the sun so that solar doesn't proliferate. Renewable energy will totally take down the Department of Energy, which is dirty energy, coal and oil. Tropospheric Aerosol Program, 100-page document. You better believe chemtrails, contrails, geoengineering is not even in there. But they talk about precursor gases, which, believe it or not, are what we call contrails, which is they're just priming the sky to spray other stuff. They talk about their budget. They spent $5 million in 2001 on not getting caught. $5 million. Can we keep that talking, please? Because it's kind of distracting, I'm sorry. And then SPICE, stratospheric particle injections for climate engineering. This is just a couple programs, right? Just a couple of the programs. And again, stratospheric particle injections for climate engineering, they're not going to talk about geoengineering, contrails, chemtrails, but these are programs ongoing for the past couple decades. All hidden in plain sight. Had I known these search terms years ago, it'd be a lot more convincing, right? I even made the movie Frankenstein. I didn't even know these search terms. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I thought I was smart because of solar geoengineering. That's a big word. Okay? Tropospheric Aerosol Program, Department of Energy, 2001. Feel free to look it up. You put these search terms in, Tropospheric Aerosol Program, DOE. You can put in .pdf, get the PDF, download it, take a look. It'll blow your mind. Okay, so how could they possibly pull this off? Well, this is another search term that will blow your mind. Civil society actors. Civil society is the aggregate of non-governmental organizations and institutions that manifest interests and will of the citizens. Manifest interests and will of the citizens. So if you learn about Edward Bernays and you learn about forming your desires and your taste buds and all that sort of stuff, you can really sink your teeth into a concept like this. These are people that are basically the media and also controlled opposition that form how we think and perceive things. And they met, and I have this printed up back there, they meet annually. But the 2013 meeting, which I have printed, which I can encourage you to look at, it's online, right there, hidden in plain sight. But if you didn't know the search terms, civil society actors, then it's not there for you. Because how are you to know unless you're here? And I spent my entire life researching this stuff. Or not my entire life, it's only been 3 years since I devoted my day in, day out, but 3 years, every single day, to chemtrails. Every day. So they met in 2013, and they said, well, we can run circles around society, because society is lousy at strategy. So here's what we're going to do, and they have it in their notes. First, we're going to say geoengineering is a bad idea, but then we'll say it's a good idea, and then we can block out their sun. So we'll start the conversation. So right here in the middle, I don't have the pointer, but these slides will be up online too, and I'll send you these slides. And if you want to give this presentation, I'll pay you. A few suggested that to shift the conversation in productive ways, geoengineering should be characterized publicly as a terrible choice. So, first, we're going to say it's a horrible idea, but it'll get the conversation going and it'll bring the word geoengineering to the public. But then, it'll be their only option once we fearmonger our way to it. So here they go. Bad idea. So they had their meeting in 2013, and immediately they're coming out with it. This is BBC. But you better believe that when one publication comes out with it, they're all sitting behind closed doors saying, let's all come out with this at once. So how are we going to do this? And they strategize, and they say, let's do it like this. Okay? They all have variations of the same headline. And you're scrolling through your timeline, you see one of the headlines, and you share it, and you're like, oh yeah, look at this. Everybody is being tricked and brainwashed and programmed. Okay? Geoengineering could harm billions. And look at this photo, 2014. This is aerosolized, probably barium. Thank you, Patrick, for pointing that out. Patrick Roddy, who will speak later, he represented us at an EPA hearing when the EPA was still intact. Well, I mean, they've been lying for some time, but there was an EPA hearing on jet fuel emissions, and he went and represented us, and he gave a speech. And he talked about barium, and he talked about these rare sundogs. And this is not the way that water vapor refracts light. This is barium. And I have a barium fact sheet printed up back there. It's highly toxic to humans. But they're conditioning you. They're saying, look, geoengineering, a supposed idea that we might do, but they're showing you it. But we don't think, we don't know. We just see it going across our timeline or on the front page, and we're like, oh, what's that word? Geoengineering. Oh, it's harmful. Okay, good, they're not going to do it. If all else fails, 2015, man-made global cooling is scary, but may become necessary. Where the heck did they get that photo? 2015. I mean, it says NASA. Oh, by the way, NASA's a bunch of liars. NASA has a budget this year of $52 million a day. Last year's $54 million a day. And they have a charged aerosol release experiment program that has a fleet of planes and drones that sprays barium, aluminum, strontium, mixing chemicals in our atmosphere, publicly. $52 million per day they have. NASA. Either way, this is a NASA photo of something that supposedly doesn't exist at the time, but it looks pretty real. I mean, it's not CGI, even though most of the photos are. So, first, to convince the public that nothing's been going on, but geoengineering is a solution. If you said the word chemtrails, you're crazy. There is this paper. And I did, Clifford, I did read your response to it on your website, carnicomInstitute.org. Very eloquent response. Clifford's a freaking genius, okay? And if we can come together and help him, you know, if you're eloquent and you're an author and you want to come and help him get his stuff to the people, by all means, and donate to him. But yeah, Clifford did a write-up on this. It ended up being called SLAP, which is a whole other program they just made up, the SLAP thing. But I'll get to that. So this paper comes out. So if I had when this happened, I was blown away, because I'd already devoted my day in, day out to chemtrails, and this was like, what are they doing? They're trying to convince people that chemtrails are not real. But had I known a few months later they were going to say geoengineering is the solution, and we got these new clouds and we're going to block out your sun, it all would have made sense. But at the time I was just angry. So this paper comes out, debunking. And they've got a lot of simultaneous debunking while saying geoengineering is an idea or a good idea. It's interesting. So this paper, quantifying expert consensus against covert geoengineering / chemtrails, by Mick West. And if you look into who Mick West is, he's a computer programmer, and he is the debunker. He has a website called metabunk.com, and he'll debunk anything. He debunks bicycles creating electricity. He debunks 9/11 conspiracies. He debunks anything you can possibly think of. He's the debunker guy. So why is Mick West in charge of a UCI, University of California Institute Carnegie paper? This guy is the debunker guy. This is a scientific, quantifying expert consensus scientific paper. Scientists, survey scientists. Why is the debunker guy in charge of this, right? And so and I've got this one printed out, of course, as well. So it's kind of convoluted and funny and weird, but the SLAP program is something that they made up. And they say, oh, conspiracy theorists think that SLAP is real, but it was really a slap in the face of people that were awake and aware and truthers, which was funny and interesting and angering. So the SLAP, Secret Large-Scale Atmospheric Spraying Program, right? And they say they have this weird survey. Is this a chemtrail? Is this a chemtrail? No, it's not. Obviously not. People are dumb. And then along come the untrusted media. The biased media, all controlled by the same families. Scientists publish an article, chemtrails, they are not real. Scientists tell the world, they aren't real. August 14th. Scientists disprove, mind you, Forbes magazine, okay, this is a financial magazine, Washington Post, right? These are big publications. They see millions of people, right? I could yell so loud and I'm not going to reach a million people. Think about how many people they can control and the mental constructs that they can form and how they can manipulate society by controlling all the media. These are major publications. USA Today disprove chemtrail theory. Heaven forbid you use that word chemtrail. You're crazy. We've disproved it with our scientific survey. New York Times. Chemtrail, conspiracy theory, and they come out with these in just a few days, right? They flood your timeline, every social media, and everybody, and even my grandma was like, Matt, did you know that it's actually not real, whatever you're making your movie about? Look at this. August 14th, August 15th, August 16th, 2016. This is not even the half of it, all right? This is not even half of it. And you've got every publication, and some of them are totally BS publications that were just created, websites just created to push this narrative. And you better believe this came across almost everybody's plate, timeline, kitchen table, whatever. Your dad, your grandma's reading it in the front page. The USA Today, you know? You see these headlines? Chemtrails are not real. Chemtrails aren't real, in case you were wondering. Chemtrails are harmless. Clouds. Chemtrails debunked. First published study on chemtrails. Chemtrail conspiracy theory. Okay? And then, okay, hold on, let's see the dates. August 14th, August 15th, August 16th. Okay, 2016. August 24th, 2016. We're talking like a week later. We've got a solution for you. We can climate hackers, one man's plan to stop global warming by shooting particles in the atmosphere. Funny, they didn't use the word geoengineering, chemtrails. But this guy, this is our guy, David Keith. He's the one conducting the experiment. He's the one in my film Frankenskies who is, he contradicts himself, and I think he's controlled. Maybe he's mind controlled. I try to just send him love, but I really hate him. So Keith, he believes that these experiments and limited trials in the real world can planes or balloons in the stratosphere spray chemicals. Interesting. So where does he get his funding from? Well, it's public donations, not from Bill Gates, Melinda Gates Foundation, but public donations, millions of dollars from this guy, who, if you do a little research, he's not cool. Okay? And he dreams of geoengineering. Bill Gates. And then along come the New York Times yet again. This is still in 2016. Can humans go from unintended global warming to climate by design? Doesn't that sound fancy? Geoengineering is in the wind. More and more these days. That's actually kind of funny. Okay, that's enough. So, let's learn discernment. Cognitive dissonance. When you built your life around believing in things, and you get The Economist, and you pay money to get The Economist, and along come me in my camo shirt, whatever. It's hard, you know? But I've put together these presentations. This is like the 20th time I've done this. And I'm getting slowly but surely better at it. But we're up against such control and money. And we're up against a mental conflict that occurs when beliefs or assumptions are contradicted by new information. Okay? It's like, what, but wait, you're going to bring down my whole mental paradigm? No, you can't do that. It's like, whoa. I'm bringing the truth to you. They get upset, people get angry. And I've analyzed this. This is my day in, day out, every day of my life. And I came up with this in the bathtub. You know? And I was like, how could they get away with all of this? Everybody, the pilots, the drone operators, the geoengineering students, it's this. It's indoctrination, compartmentalization, need-to-know basis. And you can apply it not to just to geoengineering, you can apply it to a lot of things. Remember these words when people ask you, how? How could they? Why would they spray themselves? Because I've heard that 100 times. So, I'm just going to talk about the irregular pattern of appearance, because that's really important. And this clicked a lot at one point for me, because I was really bringing the attention to when they spray. And I was like, look at the skies, passing out flags. Look at the skies, look at that. Look up, please. And no, people didn't care. They're like, that's a plane, that's normal. I read a publication that said that that's not a problem. And actually, you know, what about the irregular pattern of appearance? There are not flight paths directly over Tucson. Okay? That's why we have blue, beautiful skies sometimes. But then all of a sudden, these planes zigzag. Let's even go to rural America, because, you know, I know people were thinking, but what about the Tucson airport? Okay, let's go to rural America. Jake, North Dakota, okay? And I just met Jake, but he's awesome. All right? You're chilling in North Dakota in your backyard. Beautiful, fluffy clouds, beautiful day, beautiful day, beautiful day, beautiful day, beautiful day, beautiful. And then all of a sudden, and I'm a stats guy, right? I actually killed it in my stats class. And Clifford's a stats guy, statistics. And you can literally prove things through statistics. And if you have blue sky, blue sky, blue sky, no planes, no planes, no planes, and then all of a sudden planes are zigzagging over your head with lines coming out of the back, creating a milky haze in your skies, something's going on. That's it. That's all you have to bring to people, is an irregular pattern of appearance. All right? Those planes aren't all of a sudden commuting to God knows where. There's something going on. It's either stratospheric aerosol injections, solar radiation management, NASA's CARE program, climate engineering, weather engineering. Something's happening. And there's no scrutiny, there's no transparency, and there's no accountability. And these things need to exist. Okay, so you look up the word chemtrails, they'll tell you you're crazy. But then, businessinsider.com, they'll literally show you a photo of it and say, we need to keep the earth habitable. It's habitable right now, right? And it will be habitable forever if we stop this crime against humanity, all right? But they're trying to trick us into thinking that this is some last-ditch save ourselves, we have to do this. And if we don't bring the truth to the people, it's going to happen. And it's going to happen right before our eyes. No guilt trip, I'm just saying. We need to get active, we need to get organized, we need to bring the truth to the masses. Ted Gunderson was an FBI chief of Los Angeles, and where it says something, either way, he was amazing. And he spoke his truth. He died mysteriously. But he was on it. And this was quite some time ago. Kylie Jenner, yeah, she's a celebrity, yeah, but she tweeted this, and she has more Snapchat followers than anybody on earth, right? She's got a massive Twitter following, and before she got what I believe to be silenced, she asked some very pertinent questions. Why did I see 75 planes spraying white stuff in the sky on my way to work today? Right? She asked the right questions. And she's just one person. There's other musicians coming out, there's celebrities that are getting vocal, but you better believe the money is saying, whoa, whoa, you want to keep your job, you shut up.
That's a normal day, you son.
Sorry to hear that. So, before all of this, weather control was an obvious thing. If you saw the beginning of the film, even in 1915, I believe it was 1915, 1916, Professor Hatfield was hired in San Diego to make it rain. He burst the dams by spraying chemicals in the sky. It was known before, until they decided to really take control and they realized what they had. The public knew that you can control the weather. Now you tell someone about weather control, totally different story. Okay? And there's been ongoing experimentation for decades. Okay? Operation Large Area Coverage, biological aerosol agents sprayed San Francisco. So when people say, oh no, they wouldn't do that, and how could they, and they wouldn't, I like to say, well, if you watch my film Frankenstein, or if you look up what they did in St. Louis in the 70s, in the 70s in St. Louis, the Air Force did an experiment, quote unquote experiment, I love the word. They sprayed, St. Louis, Missouri, they sprayed radioactive cadmium, okay, over the projects. They sprayed it with planes, they sprayed it with spraying devices put on top of buildings. They outfitted station wagons and went through neighborhoods spraying radioactive cadmium to see how many children would die. This is fact. Watch my film, you'll see, or do some research. There was a journalist who did Freedom of Information request and totally exposed the whole thing. And then the thing is people are like, oh, that was in the 70s. No, it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. When Clifford talks, I have to hold back tears. Okay? A lot of people don't know about Project Popeye. The U.S. and the U.S. Air Force, they sprayed. What did they spray? Carbon dioxide, dry ice. They used dry ice to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Vietnam. They turned weather into a weapon, and then the entire world banded together and said, we need a treaty on this. You can't use weather as a weapon. The world revolves around weather and rain and what have you. But there was a caveat. They said, you can experiment on your own people. And the weather war ban was approved. 125 to 0. 125 countries came together, acknowledging weather as a war weapon. Here, Dennis Kucinich, 2001, he wants to put a ban on space-based weapons, talks about chemtrails. Okay? So for people that say, this is a House of Representatives bill. So people that say chemtrails, oh, that's no, it's not a conspiracy theory term. It's used, and they know it. They just create this mental paradigm so that you can get laughed at if you use the word. I'm trying to convince people what's going on. Like I said, NASA uses the atmosphere as a laboratory. This is a photo from NASA. This is a photo from NASA. Right? This is what they do to our skies with their fleet of drones and their $52 million a day budget. And then in 1996, the U.S. Air Force came out with the paper, Owning the Weather by 2025. And believe me, they're way ahead of schedule. And then come to find out a couple years later, we've got aerotoxic syndrome, 1999, okay? Never before were people getting poisoned by being in an airplane. But all of a sudden, these flight attendants are getting ill, And they say, oh no, it must be the jet fuel fumes. No, it's the ongoing chemtrail program that's happening right above right in your face, right? 1996, owning the weather by 2025. 1999, we got to give this syndrome a name because the flight attendants and the pilots and the people in the planes are getting ill from the nanoparticulate aluminum and barium and strontium and cadmium, lithium. President Ahmadinejad. We're about to go to war with Iran, and it's really sad. You know, maybe it'll be a couple years out, but you better believe it. You better believe we've actually been at war with them for quite some time. Weather war. And Iran saw record heat waves. And the president, Ahmadinejad, he came out in this very eloquent speech and he said, someone came to me with this information, I laughed at them. Weather control in the US is controlling the weather. But then, I said, why not? I'm the president, I'll get some people on it. And come to find out, the clouds are being drained before they hit my country. And he was very vocal and upset. But they turned him into a conspiracy theorist. And guess what? This is one of the last countries that doesn't have a central bank. FYI. So, this is Hurricane Joaquin. This is just one example. There was the HAMP, Hurricane Atmospheric Modification Program. The list goes on. This presentation could be so lengthy talking about just these. There's Ascension Island. Ascension Island is in the Atlantic, and it's where these hurricanes start off at. You know, where they create these storms, and they create these crazy climate catastrophes, and then they say, oh, look, climate change. We got to block out your sun. How does that even make sense? So this was Hurricane Joaquin. This was about 4 years ago now, and for the first time in history, they termed the word atmospheric river fire hose. New words just keep popping up. You want another word? Check out thunderstorm asthma. People were dropping dead on the streets because their experiment went a little awry. They put too much barium in it in Australia. And then a couple weeks later it was in Kuwait. And then a couple weeks later somewhere else. And this new word popped up, thunderstorm asthma. But here's the new word, atmospheric river fire hose. Where all of a sudden, hurricanes, they usually have their energy where the hurricane is, it developed this arm that was directionalized. And for a full day, South Carolina was pummeled with catastrophic 1,000-year floods. And somehow, as this hurricane spun, this arm remained intact. Directional weapon on South Carolina. You know? Does this make sense? Like, just try to think the history of hurricanes. They've got the HAMP, Hurricane Atmospheric Modification Program, where they put in black carbon soot to modify hurricanes. Okay? One of the first times they did it was Hurricane Katrina. A directional arm, atmospheric river fire hose, created flooding. Totally insane. This is not normal at all. This isn't the way storms act. So I'll touch upon HARP briefly. HARP is the Highly Active Auroral Research Program. It's an acronym. It first started off in Alaska. They've consolidated this technology. Now we have these ionospheric heaters all over the world. Dozens of them. But when they first started, it was just in Alaska. And so what they do is they put up these chemical aerosols via drones and jets, and David Keith wants to do it with a balloon at Worldview Enterprises in South Tucson. And then they use their antenna array to pick a focal point, basically the sky, and they use this frequency to superheat the atmosphere. You can see the ripples. You can see the frequency rippling through the nanoparticulate aerosolized metallics. And they create high pressure. They created a high pressure bubble over the coast of California that the jet stream had to steer around, and that's how they created the drought. Now, they don't have to spray aluminum to dissipate the moisture like I witnessed. They can now create high pressure bubbles. Remember back in the day when you used to watch the Weather Channel, there's these H's and L's. It's high pressure, which is updraft, heat rising, and low pressure, which is heat, cool air dropping. And that's how the weather gets steered around. They can create high pressure, and that's what they do to control the weather. That's what they do to create heat waves. When you see these ripples in the sky, that's what they're doing. So this is the HARP station, the first one. It's the antenna array. They utilize Tesla technology to blast the ionosphere, or the atmosphere, let's just say, with these frequencies to superheat the atmosphere to create that high pressure to control the weather. Okay? And Tesla, who the technology was stolen from, he said, if you can control the resonant system electronically, you can control the entire mental system of mankind. So when they start tampering with electromagnetic fields and frequencies, you better believe it's not just in the sky, it's at ground level. So when people say, oh, well, they couldn't do that, I like to bring them to the patents. Okay? These patents tell a story. You don't patent things just out of the clear blue sky. You don't patent things just for fun. You patent things because you have the technology and you don't want anybody to take it from you. Rockets having barium release systems to create ion clouds in the upper atmosphere. Now, sometimes you'll see what looks like a drone or a plane and it looks like it's going up. It's because it's going up. Okay, it's not just your perspective. It's actually going up and releasing barium plumes. Barium's highly toxic. Okay, and they're using the atmosphere as a laboratory. They're mixing chemicals. One of their means of mixing chemicals is releasing barium. Some of that falls down and it's totally harmful to human health. Powder contrail generation, 1975. Creation of artificial ionization clouds above the Earth, 91. Stratospheric seeding for reduction of global warming, 91. Wow. Aluminum tolerance genetics. Wonder why they wanted to come up with aluminum tolerant genetics. 2009. Because their seeds are the only things that are going to grow in this dystopian future that we're approaching. Enhanced aerial delivery systems, large quantities of fluid powders, materials from aircraft. The patents tell the story, and they just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's very real. Okay, so there was a meeting in Chicago, May of last year. And I had these hopes. I thought I was going to do this whole nationwide tour, and then I was going to go stop their meeting. And I did this whole crowdfund. I raised like 10 bucks. Whatever, I tried. Me and Patrick, separately, we offered papers. Mine's printed back there. I hired a PhD to get the PhD's name on the paper, and then I wrote the paper. It talks about human rights aspects and how we have the human right to a say in environmental decision making. We have a human right to a safe environment. These human rights have been established in treaties for decades, near centuries. But along come this very small group, and they claim that they have exclusive rights to saving the planet with these patents. They say, and look at this spike in patents all of a sudden. Okay? You got to think what's going on here. So they came together, and on May 18th, 19th, on the anniversary of Mount St. Helens erupting, and they said, hey, we're looking for papers. What role will public perception and opinion play in the governance regime for geoengineering? They were establishing a self-proclaimed solar geoengineering governance regime. A regime to govern the full-scale deployment of geoengineering. Okay? What they say is they have the exclusive rights to save the planet because they have the technology. And they say that they want to launch full-scale deployment, meaning they want to whiten the skies everywhere on Earth all at once. To make it sound gentle, they say it's a Mount Pinatubo effect. They want to mimic a volcanic eruption. Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991 in the Philippines. All this sulfuric dust went up in the atmosphere, and supposedly scientists said that the global mean temperature declined 1 degree Celsius. Okay, 1 degree. Is this fact? Did it create a cooling effect or a heating effect? Who knows? You know, you want to talk about a greenhouse effect, You better believe if they spray the skies with nanoparticulate aerosolized oxidized aluminum all over, all at once, it's going to create a greenhouse effect. Problem, reaction, solution. Then they'll say, oh no, we need to spray more. So we submitted papers. I submitted mine. It got rejected. Patrick submitted his. It got rejected. I envisioned myself there presenting my paper. It didn't happen. But the ongoing social engineering, especially for the children, continues. And we've got now we have new clouds. Literally. And through Hollywood, if you've seen the movie Geostorm, through Hollywood, the mental constructs of society are formed. And they push the envelope to a point where anything short of that is okay. So in the Matrix, that was part of our conditioning. And when I talk to people on the streets, they black the sky like the Matrix. Well, as long as it doesn't get that bad, I'm cool. Geoengineering is a controversial topic. One engineer advocates for it. You know who that is? David Keith. But look at this. Look at this graphic. This is to plant a seed in your head that the world is melting like an ice cream cone and something needs to happen. I've had an ice cream cone in the summer and if you know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. For real? Now they're telling me it's real? 2017? And they got a picture of it. BBC. This is real. Well, what about your publication? What about all that stuff you said before? Oh, wait. It's not real. Just kidding. But we have this bad idea that we need. We're going to mimic a volcano. We're going to spray the skies. We need it. Artificially reducing sun rays to stop global warming could destroy the world. Oh, that's comforting. You see the imagery? You see how they're playing with us? Pretty pictures to go on your Facebook and your Twitter and your what have you, Instagram. The idea that we will science our way out of climate change is dangerous. Okay? So they're building it up, but they're saying it's bad, but they're saying it's all we need, but what they're doing is they're sidestepping the karma from destroying the planet. Oh no, we warned you. See the photo? We warned you. TheConversation.com. Raise your hand if you've heard of TheConversation.com. That's called one person. Okay, I believe you. Okay, April 18th. It's like a month ago. It's time to admit the age of pristine nature is over. In its place is humanity and planet-shaping technologies, from gene editing to climate engineering. This is your attack on discernment. Okay? You should be able to see this and say, whoa, 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 whoa. What are they trying to pull off here? Even this rainbow thing, it's plugging those preconceived notions of gender equality and all this stuff, whatever. Delivering solar geoengineered materials may be feasible and affordable. Then they start saying, oh, it's cheap, don't worry, it's cheap. This is by David Keith. A cheap but dangerous solution by David Keith. Oh yeah, Mother Earth has a fever was the name of that headline. Sorry folks, chemtrail conspiracies are bullshit. Oh wait, okay, nice photo though. They're just trying to confuse you, simultaneously saying that they've developed an aerosol to repair the ozone layer. Aerosols can significantly cool down the planet. Aerosols could alleviate global warming and cool the planet. But we're going to lose our stars. Right? They don't bother telling us that we're going to lose the sun. That would be too much. First, they want to tell us you're going to lose your stars. You know, gentle, make it gentle. Oh, are you an astronomer? Oh, yeah, well, if you're not, then no worries. Astronomers are upset. So Obama signs it in, he's playing God. Get to blame him as he leaves office. And Trump opens the door, and geoengineering gets the green light. Here we are in 2017, green light. Aerosols to protect the Earth. Could be catastrophic, mind you. And then we've got new clouds, 12 new clouds. Each one of those 12 new clouds with names. And believe me, I've talked to people and they say, no, my dad showed me, that cloud has a name. Just because it has a name doesn't mean anything. They've given it a name because they know that once it has a name, you'll think it's okay. It's all chemtrails. It's all treason. It's all crimes against humanity. It's all poisoning the future of this planet, even though it's 12 different names. And then Harvard comes out and says, we're going to spray you. Okay, ice to the sky. 11 new clouds, including plain vapor trails. They gave the plain vapor trails a name, okay, so that it was just okay to pull off what they're doing. Conspiracy theory no more. Harvard scientists reveal big oil approved. Oh, well, if it's big oil approved, that's great. Mind you, tropospheric aerosol program in 2001. Okay, here we are 16 years later, and their plan is unfolding right before our eyes, and we're the victims. And here's the name of the clouds. Homo mutatus. This is for real. When I posted this on the internet, and people said, oh, nice meeting, Matt, that's hilarious. I said, it ain't funny, it's not me either, man. I didn't make it up. So here it is, they start giving it a dollar bill amount, and that's the diagram, they want to block it out. And here's the new clouds. Look at them go. The world's coolest rainbow appeared over California this week. Fire rainbows only appear in the U.S. about 5 times a year. April 26, 2018. MotherJones.com. Okay? Please learn discernment. Please recognize what they're doing. Look at that. This is chemicals. This is poison. They're poisoning us and our children and the plants and the animals and everything on Earth. But don't worry, the meteorologists say it's okay. It's homogeneous series. Oh yeah, futurism.com, I hate that, by the way. Futurism.com. Some of these publications, they just push it, they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and nobody even looks at the website, futurism.com. They're horrible. And now it's time for governance. They just had an idea, and now they have governance bodies in place. Again, Eddie.net. I don't think this publication existed before they came out with this article. Look at the sky. Earther.com. April 23rd, 2018. Earther.com. And the graphic. Come on. Does that look like a fun time? The machines that could darken the sun to stop climate change. Climate change is dangerous. The dangerous belief that extreme technology will fix the climate. So they're still saying it's dangerous, but we need to fix the climate, so let's create this debate so that eventually we can tell you, well, it's our only option. Can we engineer our way out of global warming? Scientists discuss the risk and feasibility of using solar geoengineering to cool us off. March 8th, 2018. This is what they predict after full-scale deployment our planet will look like. Does this look like a planet you want to live on? But don't worry, we're just faking the volcano. And if we start, we cannot stop. Don't worry, we started 20 years ago. And it's very dangerous. But once we start, we can't stop. And it'll save us from collapse. But it's a sudden collapse will doom the planet. This is all this year. I'm almost done. So David Keith, okay? This is the guy. This is the guy. This is the front runner. This is the solar geoengineer. This is the man making money. Okay? His entire everything revolves around this. He's a solar geoengineering professor. And he's the guy with the thermostat, he calls it, to planet Earth. He calls it a thermostat. And he's like, oh, well, if I'm in charge, don't worry. Look at him. He says this. He says, well, really, it's just free riding on our grandkids. Are we going to set up a planet that our grandkids can't even live on? Ask yourself that. And he says, if we turn down the sun a little bit, that'll bring Earth's energy into more balance. The Economist. Okay, Tucson. Here we are, 2018. Okay. Harvard scientists, Trump administration, SRM technology, solar radiation management. Scientists say that we can do it with a balloon. Worldview technologies. So, every time I do a conference like this, or every time I do anything, people say, what's next? What do we do next? What do we do next? And I'm like, pass out some flyers or something. I don't know. You know? Just go tell somebody. Like, what can we do? What can we do? Tell someone about my movie. Tell someone about my website, actualactivists.com. Become an actual activist. Give me your address. I'll send you flyers. Tell people about frankensteinsmovie.com. Lead people to stopgeoengineeringtucson.com. Tomorrow we're having a protest. Okay? And look, this is just our opportunity to come together, all right? We're going to come together. We're going to get vocal. We're going to have some signs. Whoever makes the best sign, you're going to win a gas mask. Right? So we're going to come together, and I wanted to figure out where would be the best place to have this protest. I'm racking my brain, because I really think we should come together and have a protest, you know? Even if half the room came, it'd be nice. It'd be amazing. And if half the room got 2 of their friends, it'd be even more amazing. Okay? 10 people show up, I'll still be happy. Okay? Because we got out there and we tried. And look, all we're trying to do is show the people that we care. It's Mother's Day. And we're here to protect Mother Earth. Save Mother Earth. And they'll be spraying too. They spray on holiday Sundays according to her. Hi. So, either way, it'll be great. We can tell everyone, look up, wake up. Look up, please. So, at first, I was all gung-ho. I said, we're going to go to the media. We're going to go to the local news broadcasters. We're going to demand unbiased media coverage, because that's important, you know, we got to be heard. And then I said, wait a second. There's an experiment happening. SRM's High Noon in Tucson. Spaceport. Gates funded. They're going to spray the skies in Tucson publicly. They're normalizing their agenda. They're launching chemtrails as a solution, and they're using Tucson as the place to do it. For the world. This will go down in history as the place where David Keith had an experiment, and it worked. And now they're going to launch full-scale deployment and take away the blue skies for everybody on Earth. Tucson is the place. That's why I moved to Arizona from Canada. Okay? That's why I'm here. That's why I'm having this conference here. It's because of this experiment. So I was like, screw the media. We're going to go to Worldview Enterprises. But they're in the middle of nowhere. What are we going to do? So I was like, maybe that's not the best idea, but this is why we're here today. Worldview Enterprises, this experiment with David Keith. And their Stratocruiser. And their climate action. They want to get this balloon thing and spray different chemicals in front of the sun to see which ones work best to block out our sun. Right? They're officializing this. They want to launch full-scale deployment. What are we at war? Well, we are. It's a silent war, quiet war. Okay? So he even says he wants to use aluminum. He even says Tucson, Arizona. He even says Worldview Enterprises. I'm not making this up. Okay? This is fact. This is what's going on. And yeah, the media's controlled, they lie, but they're not lying about this. So then, I was like, wait a second. Maybe there's a better place for the protest. Who first came up with this Space Mirrors program? You know? It's pretty important information all the way back in 2012, because that Space Mirrors, if you remember, first it was Space Mirrors, then it was diamond dust, then it was sulfuric acid, then it was table salt, then now it's aluminum, you know? Maybe we could go to the people who first came up with this idea to block out our sun with something. whether it be mirrors or what have you. So who came up with that idea, I wonder, to put stuff in space to reflect back, what have you? Oh, University of Arizona. Whoa. Okay. That's where the idea originated. Welcome to the heart of the beast, people. It's no longer the military-industrial complex. Indoctrination is the first part. Compartmentalization, need-to-know basis. So I figured we'd leave here and have a protest at the school. But then I was like, nah, screw it. So, then I was like, well, who came up with that salt idea? Because that's been in the narrative, right? We're gonna cool the sky with this canister right here. What's the canister? Well, it's salt. We're gonna use salt to cool the planet. So I was like, well, that's interesting. They're gonna throw salt in the atmosphere. Well, who came up with that idea? Table salt, geoengineering and offshore climate change. The Planetary Science Institute. Fascinating. Well, where's that located? Tucson, Arizona. Wow. So the entire narrative is coming out of table salt? Right? Give me a break. All right? So, March 26, 2018. And I looked them up. It's just some building in Tucson, you know? So we'd be out front of some empty building on Mother's Day, yelling at nobody that nobody lives in. But think about this narrative. It started here at the university, and then it went down the street, then it went to Worldview. It's all coming out of Tucson, Arizona. To take control of our sunlight? To block out the sun? Wow. So then I went back and I said, well, geez, there's even the graduate program here at the University of Arizona on geoengineering. Don't we need to know about it? Shouldn't we have the protest here? So I'm racking my brain. I was like, we need to have a protest. That's for sure. That's for sure. People want to get loud, you know? It's, you know, you guys right now, you're in a seat and you're observing, and that's great. But it's time to turn ourselves into activists, right? It's time to get out there and spread that word. It's time to wake up some people, even if it's just some people driving by in the street. They'll say, what happened? Who was that? Why were they there? You know, that's what protests are for. And this is protesting something that actually matters. I don't care about all these other things that are going on, you know, like the teachers and stuff, whatever, that's cool. That's all good. But this is the future of humanity. Let's come together. Let's have a big photo of us holding our signs and show the world that we came out and that we care. So then, I went to Kingman, Arizona, northern Arizona, and I met with an activist, and I learned about this hearing that they had. And they had 20 people with 20 rainwater analyses, 20 blood samples. Those 20 blood samples and those 20 rainwater analysis from those 20 awakened activists, okay? They showed statistical anomalies. They showed a statistically significantly high amount of aluminum, barium, and strontium in their blood and in their rain. They correlated it to heavy spray days. They correlated it to patents on geoengineering. And they brought it to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, and whose mission statement is to protect and enhance public health and the environment in Arizona. They did a Freedom of Information request. They received nothing, silence. And they said, please, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, will you please just say something? We're here, we're getting sprayed like bugs. Please, we have no choice but to breathe this air. And here's their response. Don't worry about those lines in the sky. And this is from just a few months ago. Right? So, I figure 400 West Congress, Tucson, Arizona. That's right down the street. It's a busy intersection. And I called the police and they said, cool, do it. And I said, I'll be there. So, let's get vocal. I'm not asking for all day. I'm I'm just asking for a little bit of your time. Come out, make a sign. I got poster boards, I got markers. If you don't want to make a sign, wear a gas mask. The best sign is going to win something. I got shirts. I'm going to give out all the shirts that I got tomorrow. You know, I'll bring some bottled waters. I don't know how else to bribe y'all to get you out there, but please, 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 if you can join us, I'm going to be there at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. At 11 a.m., we're going to take a photo, right? And we're going to put it online. We're going to show people that we care. But these are baby steps towards trying to save the planet. These are baby steps towards trying to save the future of humanity as we know it. And I don't know what else to do, right? I'm only one person. So, there's the address, 400 West Congress. If you grab the flyer on the way out, the schedule, it has the address on there. Oh man, this isn't even the end of the day, this is halfway through. Okay, so we should go to lunch in a second. Okay, so, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm not done. This is downtown. Right? This is really easy. This is where a lot of protests go down. This is a government building where the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality is at. Yeah, it's Sunday. They're not going to be there. Even if they were there, they don't care. Right? They're not even doing their jobs. So be creative. You know? ADEQ, do they care about you? Or clean skies? Or, what's your name, sweetie? The young girl? Naya, how old are you? Naya's 12. And how many signs did y'all make the other day? 20 signs. Naya is 12 and she made 20 signs. Okay? If a 12-year-old can make 20 creative signs to just try to wake up some passerbys, then maybe you can come out before or after your Mother's Day brunch and stand with us and get activated for just a couple hours. We're only going to be there from 10 to noon. At 11 a.m. we're going to have a photo op. I really hope to see you there. So, silence is consent. Hate to say it, not a guilt trip, but it seems to be that way. There's all these invisible contracts, and they're tricking us with all this media. And thanks for bearing with all those slides. I just wanted to push it home what they're trying to pull off. And I've got actualactivist.com. This is my brand, my whatever, my everything. And on actualactivist.com, I put a daily update on there, and it's got some truth. It's got some amazing links on there, so please check it out. And let's go tell the world that we do not consent. We do not consent to our skies being taken away. We do not consent to being experimented upon. And we demand the truth. So this is where it all began, Vancouver, Canada, May 7th, 2016. Feels like a decade ago. Patrick was there, Patrick Roddy, who's a speaker today. Ilana Freeland was there. It was amazing, you know? And at the end of it all, this was what got everybody fired up and got us the traction that we needed. And we packed the house that day. It was amazing. It was amazing. Downtown Vancouver, Canada. And it led us to where we're at. Now we're on the 3rd global conference. And then I made the film Frankenskies. God bless Nicole Petrano, who's going to be speaking later on this evening. She's a graphic designer. She made this graphic for me. And if you're able to purchase the film, I'm selling them for $15. It's online for free too, you know? But the version that I'm selling is a little bit fresher, and she's got a copy, and it's nice. And you know what the best part about it is? It's sitting in your living room. And then you can hand it to somebody. And some people don't want to watch movies online. The lies in our skies exposed. So lastly, let's talk about the gravity of the situation. Let's talk about our ancestry and our past and the future of humanity. Our ancestors, your bloodline, your DNA, they fought. They died for us to get us the freedoms that we have that we're about to lose. So let's honor them. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. So we're going to take a short lunch break. Let's give ourselves just about an hour or a little more. There's food within walking distance. There's a food court, only a few things are open. If you go over to University, 10-minute walk, there's a plethora of places to eat. There's Chipotle, all sorts of stuff. Please come back. We'll start back in about an hour, hour and 10 minutes, give everybody a chance to come back, and you're going to be impressed with the speakers that we have at the end of the day, so please come back. Thank you so much.
Hey Harry, I have a quick question for you. This thing that you're in, it's at intermission right now. It's going to be like about an hour or so. Okay. Okay.